All right, we're live.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So to the 12 tribes worldwide, those that are bloodline and those that are drafted in, welcome to the Ark of New Jersey. Hallelujah. I got to be a little louder so everybody can know that I'm not just doing this by myself. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Good, good, good. So today we're following along the same thread. And it's going to be kind of interesting as we walk into the next law. The next one that comes up is, thou shalt not bear a false witness to thy neighbor. Somebody find that. 19, Exodus 20. Exodus 20, verse 6, I think. Maybe later. Find it. Could be 6 upside down, which would be nice. 16. That's how we're going to start out. Read it.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor.
Pretty simple, right? You should not bear false witness against your neighbor. Hebrews chapter 11. Let's read through Hebrews chapter 11, because Jess, can you get the door, please? Hebrews 11, the faith chapter. We were just here a few seconds ago, right? So let's just read through it for the fun of it. Now faith.
Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by faith the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Yah, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. By faith Abel offered unto Yahweh a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, by which he obtained witness that he was righteous, Yahweh testifying of his gift, and by it he being dead yet spoke. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because Yah had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony that he pleased Yah. But without faith it is impossible to please Yah. For he that comes to Yahweh must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. By faith Noah being warned of Yah of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to saving of his house, by the which he condemned the world, and became the heir of righteousness, which is by faith. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in the tents with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise.
He's going to continue, but just keep in the back of your mind what we're talking about. Thou shalt not bear a false witness, right, to your neighbor. Yah is pointing to our neighbors, and he's showing you these people that walk by faith. Okay? So just keep that in your mind, because we're going to keep coming back to that one little verse that says, by faith thou shalt not keep. What's the title of my lesson?
False witness.
A false witness is a no-no.
No.
All right, come on.
Excuse me. What number I have?
You ended at 9. You're at 10.
Verse 10.
When you look for a city which has foundations, whose builder and maker is Yah, Through faith also, Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age. Excuse me. Through faith also, Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she considered him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable. These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly. Wherefore Yah is not ashamed to be called their Elohim, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promise of offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall your seed be called, accounting that Yah was able to raise him up, even from the dead, from whence he also received him in a figure. By faith, Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, and worshiped, leaning upon the top of his staff.
That was last week's lesson, right? We talked about Joseph, Jacob, right?
Yep.
Right? And then blessing his sons. That was a great moment, right? And we're going to talk again about another father with a bunch of sons, and we're going to get to that in a minute, right? Come on. He blessed his sons.
He blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshiped, leaning upon the top of his staff. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Yisra'el, and gave commandments concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to endure trouble with the people of Yahweh than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Hamashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. For he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he persevered as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians, assaying to do, were drowned. By faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perished not with them that believed not, when she had received the spies with peace. And what shall I say? What shall I more say? For the time will fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak, and of Samson, and of Jephthah, of David also, and Samuel, and of the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead raised to life again, and others were tortured, not accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. And others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings. Yeah. Moreover, bonds and imprisonment. They were stoned. They were sawn asunder. They were tempted were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented, of whom the world was not worthy.
This is something that they did by faith. Death by stone. I mean, we were singing that song. What's the title of the song? How'd that go? Intentional. How do you call that intentional? People being stoned, talking about they are still the God's with them. All right, let's finish because this is a deep chapter.
Of whom the world was not worthy. They wandered in deserts and in mountains and in dens and caves of the earth. And all these, having obtained a good report through faith, received not the promise. Yahweh having provided some better things for us, that they, without us, should not be made perfect.
Now, out of that text, I want to pull out one person, and we want to look at this one particular person, because when I hear other people talk about him, they give a false witness. From my perspective, they make him like he was a weak guy. He was just a little nobody. Now, if you look at our past, our position in life, most of us think that we think less of ourselves than what we really are. Most of us have a very low self-esteem. Well, you've been beaten down all your life. You've been told that you know, some of us from our parents, you're no good, you're like your dad, you're no good, and your dad was no good, you'll never be anything. And you start living that out. You look at TV shows and grow up looking at us constantly being smashed down, put down, even to death. There's a movie coming out. I looked at it in the New York Times this morning. There's a movie coming out with this guy looking like he's a god, right? Standing up with all his muscles flaring, right? Aquaman. And so I was like, I probably will look at it because I like looking at sci-fi. So he's looking all buffed out. Turn the page, and I go to the article about the movie, and here's a picture of a black guy, and he is the villain. It doesn't stop. This is something that we've lived through.
Right.
You may not see it. I see it. I see a white man dominating the black man.
Yep.
And the black man is the villain and evil and will end up losing the battle.
Basically getting killed off for sure.
So when I was a child, I grew up looking at the WWF, Wide World Wrestling.
Yep.
Chief J. Strongbow, I'll probably mess up all their names, right? Jimmy Snuka.
Superfly.
Bob Backlund.
Yes, I made him. Bob Backlund.
Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, huge. I knew his brother. Andre the Giant.
George Steele, yeah.
Who up?
Animal.
Junkyard
George
Dog,
the Animal Steele.
Junkyard Dogs. What?
the Wild Samoan,
Who's the golden?
Yes.
The gold hair.
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Ric Flair. Oh, I thought you meant
Ric Flair, yeah.
Ric Flair is later on. Hulk Hogan. Did anybody see this pattern yet? How many black ones were there?
Oh, just
Mr. T.
Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas.
Tony Atlas.
I couldn't think of his name. There was one black guy.
Tony Atlas. That was it.
Tony Atlas. When Mr. T came along, we were like, whoa, we got a black one. Hallelujah. Mr. T. We didn't care about his haircut. We were just happy to see a black guy on the stage.
Right.
And we knew that it was all fake, but when Hulk Hogan beat him in the Wrestling Mania, we knew it was fake. Now wait a minute.
Like that Bob.
All these supermen pumped up on steroids as their muscles protruded out of proportion because they were using whatever drugs necessary to make them big. But this mindset was something that I lived through, seeing it every day, every week, watching these guys come, and it was like, if one of us would barely make it, it would be like, wow, we're two people out of all of the, and fill the place up all the time. So that mindset, and then after that went off, Tarzan will come on. And then there's another one, and he was destroying everything in it, they couldn't take down Tarzan with, he beat up gorillas.
Yeah, right.
He's a bad dude.
Really.
What does that do in your mindset? You think that we are weak.
And your mind condition.
What do they call when you're really weak? When your blood is anemic,
Yeah.
right? We thinking we're all anemic. Like we don't have the power to.
No heart.
This is a condition besides the other stuff that's happening in real world, right? So I'm looking at the book and I'm reading about this brother, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I remember hearing the pastor say he was kind of a weak guy and he really didn't have much going on, until God strengthened him. I want to talk about him. He's in the book. We just talked about him, and he was one of the names mentioned. Judges chapter 6. Because as his, what do we call you, lawyer, defense attorney? I'm trying to defend him. I'm going to prove to you that this was a macho man. He wasn't some weak character that just happened to be in the book. And he had a couple brothers. He had brothers. And the scripture doesn't get into much about everyone else in the life, his children. That would probably fill like 2 chapters, because the brother had 70 children, 70 sons. Homeboy was kicking it out. That don't sound like a wimp to me. Right? But let's just read. Let's go to Judges. And I'm grateful that my reader is in the house.
Oh, me? Oh. And the children.
Six.
Start the whole chapter?
Let me see if I can get there.
It's not long.
Start reading the whole chapter. Now, don't forget, we don't want to bear false witness. And I believe that the brother was a lot more mighty than me and my Sefer are having a problem. Okay, go read.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yahweh. And Yahweh delivered them into the hand of the Midian 7 years. And the hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and caves and strongholds. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they attacked against them, and they encamped against them and destroyed the increase of the earth, till thou come to Gaza, and left no sustenance for Israel, neither sheep nor ox, nor ass. For they came up with their cattle and their tents, and they came as grasshoppers for multitude, for both they and their camels were without number, and they entered into the land to destroy it. And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites, and the children of Israel cried unto Yah. And it came to
Whoa,
pass.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Psalms 28, what did we read in Psalms 28? It says, when we cry unto Yah, right? We read that earlier, okay? So, all right, so here we have the setting. We're being persecuted by these people. They done made us run up in the caves. They got us, we hiding out. They're coming, they're filling the landscape like grasshoppers. They're everywhere. The Indians in America fell into this trap. They didn't realize that it was so many of them coming over on these ships. They thought it was just a few. They killed them because they were outnumbered by so many of them. It was more than just the gun that they had guns. But when they looked over the landscape and it looked like the mountain was moving. It was just so many of them. You're going to read that too later on. But they cried out to Yah. Go back to reading that.
And Israel was greatly impoverished because of the Midianites. And the children of Israel cried out unto Yahweh. And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried out unto Yah because of the Midianites.
I'll interrupt you for one more second. When the cry, verse what?
Verse 7.
Verse 7. When Yah's people truly cry out to him, he moves. He moves. When we really are sincere about the cry. And sometimes it takes persecution for us to get our head right. Because when we're content and everything is laid back, nobody's thinking about God, Yah. But let the persecution come. Let the persecution come and watch what happens. Now listen to what Yah does. Come on.
And it came to pass, when the children of Israel cried unto Yahweh because of the Midianites, that Yah sent a prophet unto the children of Israel, which said unto them, Thus says Yahweh of Israel, I brought you up from Egypt and brought you forth out of the house of bondage, and I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all that oppressed you, and drave them out from before you, and gave you their land. And I said unto you, I am Yahweh Yechezk'el. Fear not the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell, but you have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of Yahweh and sat under an oak, which was an Ophir, that pertained unto Joash the Abizarite, and his son Gideon threshed wheat by the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him and said unto him, Yahweh is with you, you mighty man of valor. And Gideon said unto him, O my Adonai, if Yah be with us, why then is all this befallen us? And where be all his miracles, which our fathers told us of, saying, Did not Yahweh bring us up from Egypt? But now Yahweh has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites.
All right, so that's a reasonable question, right? I'm going to prove to you that this is not a wimpy guy, but when he's being approached by the angel, the messenger of Yah, first Yah sends his prophets. He's always done that when we cry. Well, if they had the ear to hear, right? And he told them, look, I've done this, that, and he shares with this guy, with the prophet, and the prophet shares with the people that's still not listening. So then he picked out one person in particular, and he starts talking to him. Right? There's one guy. So as he speaks to him, Gideon said, well, wait a minute. If you're on our side, you're supposed to be the creator. If you're on our side, how come we in such a mess? Don't we hear that today?
Yeah.
We hear it today. Christian people will say, well, if we got God on your side, why are we still persecuted? I will say this. The reason why we are still persecuted, because we haven't learned to cry out to Yah. We don't cry. We eat, drink, and be merry.
Wow.
We act like it's like we should be.
In this situation.
Why are we in this mess? Well, he had a good question. If you're on our side, you don't see all this persecution that we're going through? All right. Verse
14.
Go ahead.
And Yahweh looked upon him and said, go in this thy might, and you shall save Yisra'el from the hand of the Midianites. Have not I sent you? And he said unto him, O my Adonai, wherewith shall I save Israel? Behold, my family is poor in Manasseh, and I am the least in my father's house. And Yahweh said unto him, surely I will be with you, and you shall kill in battle the Midianites as one man. And he said unto him, if now I have found grace in your sight, then show me a sign that you talk with me. Depart not hence, I pray you, until I come unto you, and bring forth my present, and set it before you. And he said, I will tarry until you come again. And Gideon went in and made ready a kid, and unleavened cakes of an ephah of flour. The flesh he put in a basket, and he put the broth in a pot, and brought it out unto him under the oak, and presented it. And the angel of Yah said unto him, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes, and lay them upon this rock, and pour out the broth. And he did so. Then the angel of Yahweh put forth the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the flesh and the unleavened cakes. And there rose up fire out of the rock, and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of Yahweh departed out of his sight. And when Gideon realized that he was an angel of Yah, Gideon said, alas, O Yahweh Eloheka, for because I have seen an angel of Yah face to face. And Yahweh said unto him, peace be unto you, fear not, you shall not die. Then Gideon built an altar there unto Yah, and called it Jehovah Shalom. Unto this day it is yet an Oprah of the Abizrites, excuse me. And it came to pass the same night that Yahweh said unto him, take your father's young bullock, even the second bullock of 7 years old, and throw down the altar of Baal that your father has, and cut down the grove that is by it, and build an altar unto Yahweh, your Elohim, upon the top of this rock, in the ordered place, and take the second bullock and offer a burnt sacrifice with the wood of the grove, which you shall cut down.
Okay, so now you have your whole nation is serving Baal. It's not just the enemies. You got the enemies on the outside. You're running and hiding, and your whole nation serving Baal. And Yah tells him, tear down that Baal. Now, since it is the season, how many of you think, if you think that Gideon is so weak, how many of you are going into the house and tearing down the Christmas tree? How many of you got the nerve to go in the house and grab that tree and throw it out?
You could say the other one, the tree got them on it.
The tree got them on there. They all over the tree, right?
Yeah.
But so this guy, he's told, tear down the tree. tear down Baal. All right.
Wow.
I'm gonna show you this. He's no whip. All right, verse
27.
27.
Then Gideon took 10 men of his servants and did as Yah had said unto him.
Immediately. Go ahead.
And so it was, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, that he could not do it by day, that he did it by night. And when the men of the city arose early in the morning, behold, the altar of Baal was cast down, and the grove was cut down that was by it, and the second bullock was offered upon the altar that was built. And they said one to another, Who has done this thing? And when they inquired and asked, they said, Gideon, the son of Joash, has done this thing. Then the men of the city said unto Joash, Bring out your son that he may die, because he has torn apart the altar of Baal, and because he has cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will you plead for Baal? Will you save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cast down his altar.
And if you tear down the altar, in your house, because yes, it is an altar. If you tear down the altar, guess what? You got hell to pay. Your family's not going to accept that. They're going to be ticked off. I paid $300 for that Christmas tree. I put it took me all night to decorate those ornaments on that altar. I'm gonna call it an altar. At night, he tore it down because he's like, if I did it in the daytime, I probably won't be able to finish this mission. He tore it down. Right? I challenge you. You know that Christian is that whole thing is demonic. Tear it down. See what happens. I trust you don't have the things that hang on the Christmas tree.
The ornaments.
Yeah, the ornaments that
Round.
Gideon has. Come on.
Then the men of the city said to Joash, Bring out your son that he may die, because he has cast down the altar of Baal, and because he has cut down the grove that was by it. And Joash said unto all that stood against him, Will you plead for Baal? Will you save him? He that will plead for him, let him be put to death while it is yet morning. If he be a god, let him plead for himself, because one has cast down his altar. Therefore, on that day, he called him Jerubbaal, saying, Let Baal plead against him, because he has thrown down his altar. Then all...
Anybody know that he had a new name? He gave him a name. He gave him a name. I was like, that's so cool. All we know is Gideon.
Yeah.
Y'all gave him a name. He said, you know what?
Jerubbaal.
Jerubbaal. Why are you giving that name? Read.
Because he has thrown down his altar. Then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east were gathered together and went over and made camp in the valley of Yezreel. But the spirit of Yahweh came upon Gideon, and he blew a trumpet, and Abiezer was gathered after him. And he sent messengers throughout all Manasseh, who also was gathered after him. And he sent messengers unto Asher, and unto Zebulun, and unto Naphtali, and they came up to meet him. And Gideon said unto Yahweh, If you will save Israel by my hand, as you have said, behold, I will put a fleece of wool in the floor, and if the dew be on the fleece only, and it be dry upon all the earth beside, then I shall know that you will save Israel by my hand, and as you have said. And it was so, for he rose up early in the morning, and thrust the fleece together, and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. And Gideon said unto Yah, Let not your anger be hot against me, and I will speak but this once. Let me prove, I pray you, but this once with the fleece. Let it now be dry only upon the fleece, and upon all the ground let there be dew. And Yah did so that night, for it was dry upon the fleece only, and there was dew on all the ground.
I don't blame them. I'm like, look, all right, so You saw what happened when I tore down the altar. My own people were getting a little ticked off at me. And now you're talking about going out. You remember how many people? It said that they were like grasshoppers. It was just so many of them. And you want me to go out there? Okay, so say an NFL football team. One team. Right? And God says, I want you to go take the football from off of the football field and bring it to me.
It'll go too well.
So just one football. I don't want you to put pads on. I'm with you. I want you to go. How many of us would be like, yo, can I hear anything? Is you want me to do this? Can you show me a sign? At this point, I need a sign because I know what's going to happen when I step out on the football field. These guys is going to clobber my butt, right? That's just one football team. We're not talking a nation of people, and you're going to see the amounts, right? And something else is going to come forth, the proof that we as a people want to take the glory. We always want to take the glory, right? So come on, let's go into the next chapter. We got 15 more minutes, so we're just going to read a little bit. And if the reason why we're reading is because if I walk away from you, you won't read it. I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to you. You won't read it. And it's imperative that we read this text.
Right.
So we know what we're talking about.
Yep.
And you're going to see something that's going to be so enlightening if you pay attention. Right? I'm going to tell you this guy was no wimp. Because he asked for the fleece, is that your evidence that he's a weak guy? Well, let's see what happens. Let's go into chapter 7. Judges.
Then Jerubbaal, who was Gideon, and all the people that were with him rose up early and made camp beside the well of Harad, so that the hosts of the Midianites were on the north side of them, by the hill of Moreh in the valley. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, the people that are with you are too many for me to give the Midianites into their hands, lest Israel brought themselves against me, saying, my own hand has saved me. Now therefore, go to, proclaim in the ears of the people, saying, whoever is fearful and afraid, let him return and depart early from Mount Gilead. And there returned of the people 20 and 2,000, and there remained 10,000.
Okay, so he had more nerves than the 2,000 people. They were like, yeah, I think I'll check this out later on.
22,000.
22,000. They were like, you know what? I'm good. And they were scared. Rightfully so. Look at the amount of people that are already outside. You're outnumbered. We're outnumbered. We're not going to win. I don't care. You talk about Yah, God, whatever. This is not a battle. And they walked away. All right. So.
And there remained 10,000. And Yahweh said unto Gideon,
All right. He's down to 10,000 now.
the people are yet too many. Bring them down unto the water, and I will try them. For there, and I will try them for thee there. And it shall be that of whom I say unto you, this shall go with you, the same shall go with you. And of whomsoever I say unto you, this shall not go with thee, the same shall not go. So he brought down the people unto the water, and Yahweh said unto Gideon, everyone that lappeth of the water with his tongue as a dog lappeth, him shall you set by himself. Likewise, everyone that bow down upon his knees to drink. And the number of them that lapped, putting their hand to their mouth, were 300 men. But the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lack will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into thine hand, and let all the other people go every man to his own home.
Okay, so now we're down to 300. Anybody see how that worked? Did you get a visual of that? There were some that, okay, I gotta do a visual. They kneeled down. I'm gonna show the camera. They kneeled down and they were still, now these were the braver ones. Put it in their hands because they can still look up. Just in case. So they can go,
They could see.
they can still see.
Their surroundings.
The other ones did this. And laid down and just like a dog.
Right.
It's like, those are the ones he says I'll use. Isn't that crazy? He said I can use them. Why? Because they're like, no care in the world right about now. I'm just going to drink the water. And Yah says, now those I can use. All right, so let's read this.
Wow.
Gideon still is, now I got to be like, you sure you want me to take the 300 or tell the 300 to leave? Because maybe you got this twisted. So let's read some more.
And the number of them,
Verse
6,
6.
and the number of them that lacked putting their hand to their mouth were 300 men. But all the rest of the people bowed down upon their knees to drink water. And Yahweh said unto Gideon, by the 300 men that lack will I save you, and deliver the Midianites into your hand, and let all the other people go every man into his own home.
We're talking about football, right? This is the cut. You know, who makes the grade? Go ahead.
So the people took victuals in their hand and their trumpets, and he sent all the rest of Israel, every man unto his tent, and retained those 300 men. And the host of Midian was beneath him in the valley. And it came to pass in the same night that Yahweh said unto him, arise, get you down unto the host, for I have delivered it into your hand. But if you fear to go down, go with Phurah, the servant, down to the host. And you shall hear what they say, and afterwards shall your hands be strengthened to go down unto the host. Then went he down with Phurah his servant unto the outside of the armed men that were in the host. And the Midianites and the Amalekites and all the children of the east lay along in the valley like grasshoppers for multitude, and their camels were without number, as the sand of the sea side for multitude.
Now, here's where someone could say he was aware, because he took his boy with him. I don't feel that way. Like if I got a chance that he's giving me an opportunity, says, I want you to go do this, but I want you to take Mark with you if you're a little bit scared. I'll be like, Mark, I'm picking you up at 6 o'clock.
Roll out. Roll out.
Because where there's two, there's comfort, there's support,
Yeah.
right? And he gave him the opportunity. He said, I'll go ahead, pick one person and take him with you. You're still two people.
Right.
That's still, you're still way outnumbered. Come on.
And Gideon was come. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, behold, I dreamed a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread tumbled into the host of Midian, and came unto the tent, and smote it, that it fell, and overturned it, that the tent lay along. And his fellow answered and said, this is nothing else, save the sword of Gideon, the son of Joash, a man of Israel. For into his hand has Yahweh delivered Midian and all the hosts. And it was so, when Gideon heard the telling of the dream, and the interpretation thereof, that he worshipped and returned into the army of Yisra'el, and said, arise, for Yahweh has delivered into your hands the host of Midian. And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand, with empty pitchers and torches within the pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me, and do likewise, and behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall you do. When I blow a trumpet, and all that are with me, then blow you the trumpets also on every side of the camp, and say, the sword of Yahweh and of Gideon.
Okay, so I bought my candle, and I'm glad you brought this. So they had their light in one hand and their shofar in the other hand. The light in their hand and shofar in the other hand. This is imperative that we listen to this, because he takes his 300 and he divides them in 3 different paths, right? You're going to see when we get to next week, when we talk about the sun mimics Dad. He follows the same track that Dad did because it worked for Dad. But if you listen to Gideon, every time there was an episode or a chance, he built an altar. He prayed. He spoke to Yah. His son's not going to be that way. So you're going to see the difference between the righteous and the unrighteous, yet both of them are still warring against the same people. But, so this whole, what we just read, what was it?
Chapter 6 and 7.
No, the verse you were just
Oh, excuse me. When I blow the trumpet, 18.
where he divided 17.
Oh, excuse me. And he looked at him and said, do to me likewise, and behold, when I come outside. 16 and 17. 16.
Right.
And he divided the 300 men into 3 companies, and he put a trumpet in every man's hand with empty pitchers and torches within the pitchers. And he said unto them, look on me, and do likewise, and behold, when I come to the outside of the camp, it shall be that as I do, so shall you do. When I blow with a trumpet, and all that are with me, then blow you the trumpets also on every side of all the camp, and say, the sword of Yahweh and of Gideon. So Gideon and the 100 men that were with him came unto the outside of the camp in the beginning of the middle watch, and they had but newly set the watch, and they blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers that were in their hands. And the 3 companies blew the trumpets and brake the pitchers, and held the lamps in their left hand, and the trumpets in their right hand, to blow withal. And they cried, the sword of Yahweh and of Gideon. And they stood, every man in his place, round about the camp. And all the host ran and cried and fled. And the 300 blew the trumpets, and Yahweh set every man's sword against his fellow, even throughout all the hosts. And the host fled to Bethshittah and Zererath, and to the border of Abimeholah unto Tabath. And the men of Israel gathered themselves together out of Naphtali, and out of Asher, and out of all Manasseh, and pursued after the Midianites. And Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, come down against the Midianites, and take before them the waters unto Bethbarah and Jordan. Then all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together, and took the water unto Bethbarah and Jordan. And they took 2 princes of the Midianites, Oreb, Zeeb, and they slew Oreb upon the rock. Oreb and Zeeb they slew at the winepress of Zeeb, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeeb to Gideon on the other side of Jordan.
I love their battles because the generals, they didn't take prisoners. They chopped off their heads. Okay, so chapter 8, and we're gonna finish in a few minutes. But chapter 8, we're gonna look at a couple of verses. We're gonna continue reading because the story's now getting pretty intense. So they came out of the camp, broke it up into 3 divisions, and they chased off. They said the landscape they looked like grasshoppers. There was just so many of them. They saw this little flock of Hebrew Israelites, and they took off running. and they captured the captains, right? And so here we are, we chopped off their heads, right? And then I want you to listen to, I don't know if we can get through the whole chapter, but let's go to chapter 8.
And the men of Ephraim said unto him, Why have you served us thus, that you called us not, when you went to fight with the Midianites? And they did chide him sharply. And he said unto them, What have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? Y'all had delivered into your hands the princes of Midian, Oreb, Zeeb, and what was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated toward him when he had said that. And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint yet pursuing them. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, kings of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto your army?
Okay, so now you see it, right? They're tired. They've been kicking butt, right? And all they want is a little bit of bread and some wine, some water, recuperate, right? So let's see what happens, because now you're going to see how much of a man Gideon is. Come on.
And Gideon said, Therefore, when Yahweh has delivered Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, then I will tear your flesh with the thorns of the wilderness and with briars. And he went up thence to Penuel, and spake unto them likewise. And the men of Penuel answered him, as the men of Succoth had answered him. And he spake also unto the men of Penuel, saying, When I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna.
Okay, so real quick, did you catch what he just said he's going to do?
We'll tear it down.
I'm coming back and kicking your butt. Try me. You don't think I will? And he went to another group, same thing. Same answer. He said, Yo, I'm going to come back and tear this place up.
Yep.
He's not a wimp. Okay, so he didn't do it at that particular time, but he said he would. All right, that's all.
Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor, and their hosts with them, about 15,000 men. All that were left of all of the hosts of the children of the east. For there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. And Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah and Jobahah, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And when Zebah and Zalmunna fled, he pursued after them, and took the two kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the hosts. And Gideon the son of Joash returned from the battle before the sun was up, and caught a young man of the men of Succoth, and inquired of him. And he described unto him the princes of Succoth and the elders thereof, even 17 men. And he came unto the men of Succoth and said, Behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, with whom you did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna now in your hand, that we should give bread unto you, that unto your men that are weary? And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and briars with them, and he taught the men of Succoth. And he beat down the tower of Penuel.
He did what?
He beat down the tower of Penuel and slew the men of the city. Then said he unto Zebah and Zalmunna, What manner of men were they whom you slew at Tabor? And they answered, As thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. And he said, They were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. As Yahweh lived, if you had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said unto Jether, his firstborn, Up and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. And Zebah and Zalmunna said, Rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength.
Okay, so he captures this guy, these two, and he tells his son, go kill them. Right? His son's like just a young guy, so he's like, not feeling it. So, did you read the character, what they did, how they responded? They called him on it. They're like, you think you're such a bad dude, you come up and kill us. Read that again.
And he said unto Jether his firstborn, up and slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared because he was yet a youth. The Zebah and Zalmunna said, rise thou and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength.
You think you so bad, you come do it.
And Gideon arose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna and took away the ornaments that were on their camels' necks.
Told you he wasn't a wimp.
Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, rule thou over us, both thou and thy son, and thy son's son also, for thou hast delivered us from the hand of Midian. And Gideon said unto them, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. Yahweh shall rule over you. And Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you that you would give me, every man, the earrings of his prey. For they had golden earrings because they were Ishmaelites. And they answered, we will willingly give them. And they spread a garment and did cast therein every man the earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,700 shekels of gold, besides ornaments and collars and purple raiment that was on the kings of Midian, and besides the chains that were about their camels' necks. And Gideon made an ephod thereof and put it in his city, even in Ophrah. And all Israel went thither a whoring after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon into his house.
Okay, so he wasn't perfect. So I'm gonna stop there. He wasn't perfect because he takes all the earrings and he makes an ephod. And that's all it takes for us to start going sideways. Tore down the altars, right? He asked for earrings, they give him a bunch of earrings, and then they turn it into may as well be Exodus 32 all over again. Right? They take all the gold, they put it together, and they make it into something, and we start whoring after it. That's our nature. We just don't want to do right. Right? No matter how well, you got 300 men. You just destroyed a nation, right? You done chased off everybody. He made it so easy for you to show you that it's not you, it's me. I'm the one that's doing this. And as soon as we get a chance, we do what we do.
Yeah.
So we're going to pick this up next week and watch what happens in his life. It's pretty much near the end of the life of Gideon, and you're going to see what happens, and then we want to track his sons and see how his son, he has 70 sons. It's going to come to that point, right? 71. Right? And you're going to see that with Yah, you can destroy almost anything. Without him, he's going to take you down. All things work out for the good for those who love him and are called according to his purpose. Okay? Shalom. We got to get up out of here.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah, so we're going to get out 3 o'clock.